What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video we're going over the James Harden trade. So we're gonna have a full analysis in this video on all affected parties, meaning any player that may have been affected by this trade through the four teams. I'm gonna talk about a little bit. So before we get into that, I'm just gonna go over the trade deal details very quick. So the Cavs get Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. Nets receive Harden. Pacers receive Levert, and the Rockets get Exum. So I can't pronounce his name. Kuroks maybe, and Oladipo, and a ton of picks were also involved. So, all right. First up, we're gonna talk about the Houston Rockets. So first up we have is John Wall. So I put a bunch of pluses after his name because his stock's gonna rise. This is great for him. He's now the number one option, and he should be that way the rest of the season. He's been playing great so far. He's showing us he's healthy. He's finally healthy, first time in years, and he looks like he's healthy. And he's putting up great numbers so far. So 34 minutes, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, over 1 steal, a block a game, 45 field goal percentage, 84 from the line. Now, the last thing I have is 26.3, and that's his usage rate. Currently 36 in the NBA. I expect that to go up probably a lot. I would expect that to go up a couple of notches. I do expect him to get probably closer to 20 points, probably maybe even more, and more assists. I do expect that from John Wall. So next up, we have Victor Oladipo. Now I have a bunch of question marks after his name because we don't know what's going on with Victor Oladipo right now. I'm hearing rumors that he's actually looking to get out of Houston and go to Miami. So if that were to happen, that changes everything. If it doesn't happen, if he stays in Houston, well, the stats he had when he was on the Pacers: 33 minutes a game, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.7 steals, really good. Pretty low on the field goal percentage though, at 42%. 36% from downtown though, and he's averaging 2.8 threes per game. So maybe the Rockets don't actually want to move off him because he may be able to get set up by John Wall and knock down some extra threes. His free throw, Oladipo is so weird this year because his free throw percentage is only 73% as well. So his field goal percentage is down over recent years. Free throw percentage is down in recent years, but he's having his best three-point shooting season of his career. Really weird. But anyway, his usage rate is actually better than John Wall's when he was on the Pacers at 26.7. And that was 32nd in the NBA. So I just bring that up because if he stays here, he's probably going to be the second option, probably even the third option over Christian Wood, or under Christian Wood. But it's going to be interesting. He is going to be a very interesting player to watch in these next few days / weeks, up to the trade deadline. All right, so moving on to Christian Wood, I have a bunch of pluses behind his name because he's going to benefit from Harden being off the team now. So even with Oladipo on the team, regardless. So 33 minutes a game, 22 points per game, 9 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, 53 from the field goal percentage, and 72 from the line. Now I know he got a lot of nice oops from Harden throughout these last few weeks, but I still feel like he will be able to put up about the same amount of points, maybe even more. Maybe he gets in a lot of good work and blends in well with Wall. I don't know how those two work together. I haven't seen enough Houston Rockets games, but I think I watched 2 games, and Harden was the primary ball handler, and I think Wall missed one of those 2 games. So I do still feel like, if nothing else, his usage rate will go up. Woods's, it's at 27.4 right now, 30th in the NBA, and I don't see why it wouldn't go up as Harden had. The difference between Oladipo and Harden is probably like 4 usage rate points, which we're going to get into Harden when we get to Brooklyn. Anyway, as of right now, Eric Gordon, his value currently is going to drop. That's why I have a bunch of negatives behind his name. But it mainly depends on if Oladipo now gets what he wants and gets traded out of Houston. I don't know if it's going to happen, but the rumors are real, apparently. And lastly, DeMarcus Cousins, a bunch of minuses after his name. So this might have been a good time for Houston to trade Cousins to a place like Indiana, where he may have actually been able to start over Miles Turner or somewhere else. It didn't happen. He's staying on Houston. Even in an interview, I watched him in an interview about mainly James Harden yesterday, about how if he felt disrespected or anything, and he said that he mainly came to Houston to play with John Wall anyway, so he doesn't care either way. All right, so overall, good for John Wall, good for Christian Wood. Oladipo might be good for. I don't see too much of a change with him either way. Whether he goes to Miami, whether he stays in Houston, it'd probably be better if he stayed in Houston, to be honest. And if that does happen, bad for Eric Gordon, bad for DeMarcus Cousins. All right, moving on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I set this up a little bit differently because I just wanted to say Garland, Sexton, and Jared Allen will be the future of the Nets. All young, all going to be reaching their prime soon, and all good enough to be starters in this league right now. So the only question really is when is the future going to happen? I'd actually advise you not to drop Jared Allen just yet, but we'll get into that in a minute. So the more pressing issue may actually be Andre Drummond owners. For Andre Drummond owners, basically, is he going to get moved now sooner rather than later because this is his last year on his contract? So overall, Cleveland, the bigs in Cleveland is a huge mess right now. It's awful for all fantasy owners. I don't see anything good coming out of this trade for anyone for fantasy owner wise. First up, Kevin Love. I put a one negative after him. Love's been injured for a good portion of this season anyway, so it doesn't truly affect him, not yet anyway. Time will tell how this trade affects his value, as he hasn't had a chance to play, let alone play with the new players with Prince and Jared Allen. So this this is something to consider as well. If Cleveland continued at one point, I think they were 4-4. I'm not sure what their record is right now, but if they were in the playoff hunt, maybe they wouldn't have traded Kevin Love. But now that they have Jared Allen, this may be in the emergence of Nance Jr., to be honest. They still may be actively shopping Kevin Love, regardless of their record, as they don't really need him now. So next up is Larry Nance. I put 3 negatives after him because I do feel like this is really going to affect him probably the most on the team, as although Nance's value would have dropped once Love returned anyway, his value may have dropped sooner than expected because of this trade, as now he's going to have to fight not only Kevin Love, but Prince and Allen for minutes, depending on how they run their lineups. Next up we have is Andre Drummond. A bunch of minuses here. Obviously, he was the only big, the only center, I should say. It was just him. He was going to get all the minutes he wanted. Now he's in a timeshare. He's the new DeAndre Jordan. He is in the final year of his contract. Maybe Cleveland begins holding him out like the Pelicans did a few years ago with Anthony Davis, or like the Rockets were going to with James Harden up till the point where they traded him. So they might do that to avoid injuries before he's traded. Again, it's his last year on this contract, and now they have a promising young center. Why not give the promising young center all the time that he can afford right now and just bench Drummond because, again, Jared Allen is the future. Last player up is Jared Allen, who for right now I put 3 negatives on because he is in a timeshare. Once again, he just got the starting role. I have him on my team as well as a lot of you guys probably. I got him on my team, and I was so happy when he started to start. And he was getting the minutes. He was getting a nice double-double with a block, maybe 2 blocks. It was really nice to have, good percentages. Really was an extremely good pickup, positive pickup for my team. Now we don't know how many minutes Drummond's going to get. We don't know how many minutes Allen's going to get. We haven't seen a game with those two active yet. So the thing I do want to say about that is don't panic, don't drop him, don't trade him for low. not until we see how the lineups are going to go. And even then, Jared Allen may still have value because he was already in a timeshare and he was putting up decent numbers with Jordan in Brooklyn. Even before he got the starting role, he was putting up pretty decent numbers. So if he could get the 25 minutes, of course, he loses value, but it won't be drop worthy. You still can have him as like a third center on your team. It won't be as bad as it seems for now. And again, Drummond's on the last year of his contract. Cleveland may be trying to ship him and Kevin Love out because, quite honestly, they have too many bigs right now. It's just a mess, like I said, coming into this line. If Kevin Love, Nance, Drummond, Jared Allen, it's too much, and you got to go with the young guys over the old. So I do think what Cleveland's strategy was to get the player first and then move out the things that they don't need anymore on the expiring contracts and pick up a couple second-round picks, maybe even a late first-round pick for someone like Drummond or Kevin Love. So again, be patient with Jared Allen. Hold them for a few weeks as long as you can afford to. Okay, next up we have is the Indiana Pacers roster. And I gotta say, this is not as good of a trade as all the LeVert owners may hope. And the reason for that is, first up is Malcolm Brogdon. He's having a career year. He's averaging 37 minutes a game, 22 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 threes, almost 2 steals, 1.7 steals, while shooting 47% from the field and 88% from the line. Now, his usage rate is actually pretty low. It's only 24.1, 58th in the NBA. So that bodes well for LeVert. Don't get me wrong. But let's look at LeVert's stats. 28 minutes a game, 18 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 1.8 threes. Only shooting 43% from the field and 76% from the line. So he needs to get those up. But like his shooting, I think that he needs to get them up. But typically what happens is when you see players get more time, again, LeVert's only at 28 minutes a game. When players get more time, I would expect him to get more time, like Brogdon, 37 minutes a game. That's pretty good, right? So even if it's just 32 to 34 minutes a game, of course, I do expect his points to go up and his assists and probably his rebounds as well, probably even his threes. But his field goal percentage may come down even more because he's going to be more fatigued, and his free throw percentage may come down as more as well as he may be more fatigued. That's just how it works. Now, let's talk about his usage rate. 30.6 on Brooklyn, 12th in the NBA. 12th in the NBA. Do you think his usage rate's going to increase? I don't. I think if anything, it may even decrease, and if that does happen, his stats may not improve. He may get more minutes, but they might not actually improve all that much. And he may actually start shooting worse from the floor because he will be more fatigued with more time on the floor. Another note is it can be good for LeVert because Aaron Holiday is LeVert's backup, so there's no real threat, as Justin Holiday is now the starting small forward in Indiana. So there are good things to come out of it, but I don't think LeVert's going to be a breakout star all of a sudden. I think he's been getting all the usage he can handle in Brooklyn, and I don't see his numbers varying all that much. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with 20 points a game, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, or just over 4 rebounds still, and 2 threes. But I do think I'd be worried about his percentages the most if I was a LeVert owner. So if my recommendation would actually be to sell him now, because everyone's going to say, oh, he's going to break out, this is awesome for him. I'm not so sure about that. So again, I'd probably sell on him if I had him. And if you don't have him, and if you're trying to target him, I wouldn't. You're probably going to have to give up a nice little package to get him right now. All right, and for our final team is the Brooklyn Nets, of course. So first up, we have Kyrie Irving. I'm just going to read over the stats. 33 minutes a game, 27 points, 6 assists, It was 6 assists. I accidentally put 5 assists, but it's 5 rebounds, 3.8 threes, 1.6 steals. Now he's shooting lights out for this year, 50% from the field, and he hasn't missed a free throw yet this season. And his usage rate is at 30.2. Now, even though he doesn't qualify, it was up there. It was about, I think, let's see, what was LeVert? He was very close to that. So LeVert was at 30.6. Kyrie was at 30.2, so I would say that was approximately 15th. If LeVert was 12th, I would say I don't know why he doesn't qualify, but he wasn't on the list for whatever reason. It might be because he's currently out right now, or maybe it's just because he hasn't played enough games. Regardless, 30.2 is very good. And now, does his come down? Like, will his usage rate come down now that Harden's going to be in the game with Irving, with KD? Second up, Harden, 36 minutes a game, 25 points, 10 assists. He was killing it with Wood, to be honest. 5 rebounds, 3 threes, 44% from the field, 88% from the line, at just a 29.3 usage rate, which was ranked at 19th in the NBA. And now you got to worry about his usage rate, which we're going to get in a second. By the way, so I did put 2 minuses behind Irving and behind Harden because I think this is going to be like Golden State all over again, but we're going to get into that. So Joe Harris is the first guy I would like to talk about because he's probably the easiest. 29 points a game. He was shooting 11 times a game. Did I say that right? 29 minutes a game. He was shooting 11 times a game, and he was averaging 14 points and 3 threes made. I expect his volume of shots to come down pretty much. From 11, I would say it'll go down from 11 to 7 or 8. I'd be very surprised if he hits double figures on a consistent basis, given the players that Brooklyn now has and all the ball handlers that Brooklyn now has. And basically, they like having the ball in their hands, and Brooklyn likes to do ISOs. Kevin Durant's value, I personally think that will actually stay even. KD will still be the number 1 option as he's still the best player on the team. And I feel like this is Golden State 2.0 for Kevin Durant now. His usage rate is at 30.4. Excuse me. His usage rate in his last year with Golden State was at 30.4, which was awesome. And this year it's 31.5 in Brooklyn. So, again, I expect that 31.5 to come down a bit, but it's still going to stay over 30, and he's still going to hit his numbers. He's efficient. There's no reason why he wouldn't hit his numbers. As he should still be the number 1 option. Now, last up, I'm going to talk about, before I talk about more about Harden and Kyrie, I'm going to talk about DeAndre Jordan. And again, he is one of the very few players in this trade that's going to benefit greatly. He's no longer in a timeshare. And before he was in a timeshare, he was averaging 29 minutes a game. And, oh, wait, no, this isn't averages. This was in his first game without Jared Allen. He hit 29 minutes, 9 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Expect that kind of production from DeAndre Jordan going forward. Approximately 28 to 32 minutes a game. Not going to give you a lot of points, and you're probably not going to want him to score because you don't want him on the line. So you just want him to stay away from the ball as much as possible and get you all those rebounds and defensive stats. And when he does score, you want him to hit alley-oops, like dunks and stuff like that, to get you a better field goal percentage. But again, if you're not afraid of the free throw percentage, go get him, and you'll be fine. Like if you have a Giannis, like a Greek Freak, Ben Simmons, hell, even if you still have Andre Drummond, and if you believe he's still a fine prospect, then any of those players would go Gobert. If your team if you punted free throws, this would be the acquisition you should be focusing on right now. All right. So let's start talking about the 2 major players that we got to talk about, Kyrie and Harden. So did Brooklyn make this deal due to Kyrie's recent antics? You got to wonder about that because now are they going to consider trading Kyrie? So I personally do not think that that's going to happen. But you have to consider that if you're a Kyrie owner and where he might be able to land, where he can fit in and put up the numbers he's been putting up in Brooklyn. So if he doesn't get traded, and like I said, I don't think he will because I believe he came to Brooklyn with KD, and I believe that KD will get upset if they try and trade Kyrie without KD's permission. I don't think that's going to happen. I think KD is going to remain loyal to Kyrie, and I don't think Kyrie is going to let down KD. But these antics have to end sooner rather than later. The longer this goes on for, the more chance that Brooklyn's going to. There's rumors about about Brooklyn considering voiding Kyrie Irving's contract. So we will see what happens on that front. And if that happens, then James Harden's value goes up. Joe Harris will go back to what he was, and then DeAndre Jordan will be still what he is. And then Kevin Durant's going to be doing what he's been doing all year. So my last thing is you got to consider how KD, Irving, and Harden will get along. I personally feel like it's going to be a lot like Golden State. Harden might put up a 30-point triple-double one night and then come out and get 15 points on 8 shots and 5 rebounds and 3 assists the next night. It's going to be inconsistent because the ball's likely going to go to the hot hand on any given night. Now, that might actually be the worst thing for James Harden, as if you look at the field goal percentages, Kevin Durant, I think he's shooting 52%. Everyone knows he's a great shooter, and he hovers around 50% every year. So that's why I didn't write that in there. I just was more focused with KD about the usage rate. But now Kyrie Irving, he's usually around 47, 48%. He's shooting 50% on the year, and he hasn't missed a free throw yet. He's killing it at 27 points a game. But now Harden, even there's going to be like a fight for who's the number 2 option, because Harden right now is the better offensive weapon. I shouldn't say it like that. Kyrie is right now the better efficient offensive weapon, but overall Harden can do more because he's just simply a better offensive player. He's better at passing and scoring at will and getting to the free throw line. But Harden only shoots 44%. So when it comes down to who has the hot hand, well, Harden doesn't shoot the ball as well as Kyrie has this year or Kevin Durant. So his breakout games may come few and far between compared to Kyrie and Kevin Durant. So, guys, I feel like this was the worst case situation. I've been saying this all year. Draft Harden, draft Harden. What are the odds he goes to Brooklyn? He could go anywhere. Well, the worst case scenario happened. He's going to Brooklyn, and I think this is killer for him. Now, when I say killer, he goes from being the top, one of the, by far, top 1, 2, or 3 players in the league, depending on if you play points or categories. Excuse me. And so categories, I ranked him at number 1 all year. But now I feel like he's going to dip down a bit, and he's probably going to just be like an early second round pick. I think he's going to produce like a second round talent would, opposed to a first, second, or third overall player. So that's a big loss for anyone who drafted him, hoping that he wouldn't go to Brooklyn or have his stats come down a bit. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So do you trade him now? No, you could still get value for him. And people are going to lowball the hell out of you right now. You got to play him, and you just got to wait until a fair deal. The best you're going to do is getting a fair deal for Harden right now. And also, got to talk about Kyrie. I don't know what's going on with his antics, truly. I don't think Brooklyn's going to void his contract as long as he comes back in a reasonable time on behalf of KD. And I also don't think they're going to trade him. So I don't think he's going to leave Brooklyn, not this year. But he didn't want, I think he was the one who publicly stated that he didn't want Harden there. And if that wasn't true, then I think I just heard that there was rumors. There was something where Kyrie didn't want Harden on the Brooklyn Nets. So if that's truly the case, it's going to be hard for him to get along with James Harden. And another thing to consider with Kyrie, Kyrie's full of antics. He's currently going through one right now. And who's to say he doesn't continue to hold out? Because they have James Harden on the team, and maybe he didn't want him. Maybe the rumors are true and he didn't want him, and now he's going to do more antics. So for all you Kyrie Irving owners, I'd probably try and sell him while you can. I wouldn't necessarily take a lowball offer. You can hold on to and see what transpires, but I would still try and get at least a fair value for him. Like I'm really bad at trying to come up with who you should be able to go and get with or anything like that. But if a deal comes around and you feel like you like it, you might want to accept it. Because even though Kyrie's been putting up gaudy numbers, like his numbers are sick, you don't know his antics. He's unpredictable. You just don't know what's going to go on, what's going on in that guy's mind. So, again, guys, this is a bad trade for Kyrie Irving. It may continue to be a very bad trade for Kyrie Irving due to his unpredictable nature and his antics. Again, this is a bad trade for James Harden. Now, it won't be bad until Kyrie comes back. So if he never comes back, you're fine. But if he does come back, I do feel like Harden is going to be fighting for the ball with Kyrie. It should affect Joe Harris. It's bad for Joe Harris, and Kevin Durant's still the number one option on that team. And last but not least, DeAndre Jordan. Good for him. They got rid of Jared Allen. Good for him. So that's pretty much all I have for my full analysis on this trade. Don't forget to like this video if you feel like this is helpful for you in any way, and make sure you subscribe to my channel as I'm going to be bringing more fantasy basketball content all season long. All right, thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.